All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to completely flip everything you thought you knew about human sleep and, well, the modern light switch. Tonight, you're probably going to walk into a room and flick on a light without a second thought. But for 99.9% of history, the light switch didn't exist. For almost all of human existence, sunset meant plunging into near total darkness. I'm talking about a blackness so complete you literally couldn't see your own hand in front of your face. It's a level of dark we almost never experience today.
Just think about this number for a second. 300,000. For over 300,000 years, every single one of our ancestors spent roughly half their lives in the pitch black of night. No light bulbs, and for the vast majority of that time, not even candles. This wasn't just some mild inconvenience. It was a daily, inescapable reality that profoundly shaped our biology.
So, let's talk about the first major disruption to all this darkness: fire and culture. To understand how early humans survived, we have to go back roughly 1 million years to the control of fire at places like Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. Before fire, we were incredibly vulnerable. When the sun went down, our ancestors literally had to hide in trees and stay completely still just to avoid predators with superior night vision, like leopards and hyenas. If you moved, you were dinner. But at campfire, it instantly created a 30-foot circle of safety. Predators simply wouldn't cross it. Outside that circle, you died. Inside it, you lived.
But fire didn't just keep us safe. It actually gave us extra usable hours in the day, which completely shifted how we interacted. Anthropologist Polly Weissner spent years studying the Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, who lived very similarly to our early ancestors. She found that during the day, 80% of their conversations were strictly practical. We're talking hunting logistics, economic negotiations, everyday complaints. All business.
But check out this shift at night. Around the fire, 81% of those conversations suddenly turned into stories, myths about the origins of the world, and jokes. By extending the day, the campfire essentially became the original theater. It was the classroom and literally the birthplace of human culture, where we finally had the time and safety to imagine things beyond just surviving the present moment.
Which brings us to the lost rhythm of first and second sleep. You see, the night wasn't just for telling stories. It housed a biological reality about our sleep that modern life has completely erased. Back in 2001, historian Roger E. Eckerch made a discovery that absolutely changed sleep science. After 16 years of digging, he found over 500 historical references spanning centuries. We're talking everything from medieval diaries to 1400s prayer books and even Homer's Odyssey. And they all detailed a way of sleeping that we've completely abandoned.
Before the Industrial Age, an 8-hour continuous block of sleep wasn't normal at all. Instead, everyone naturally broke it up. First, you had a 4-hour first sleep. Then, a 1 to 2 hour period of quiet midnight wakefulness known as the watch. And finally, a 4-hour second sleep until dawn. Crazy, right? But this wasn't insomnia. This was just how every human on the planet slept. People absolutely didn't panic about being awake in the middle of the night like we do. In fact, a 16th century doctor's manual actually advised using these quiet hours for study and reflection because the mind is calm. People used the watch to visit neighbors, interpret their fresh dreams, or even conceive children. There was even a French physician who actively recommended it as the absolute best time for that. And here is where science actually confirms this ancient rhythm.
For years, historians had just dismissed this idea of a two-phase sleep. They literally mistranslated medieval texts to fit their own modern 8-hour assumptions. But then, a 1992 experiment by psychiatrist Thomas Ware proved history right. Ware took a group of volunteers and plunged them into a pre-fire environment. For a full month, they sat in 14 hours of complete darkness every single night. No light bulbs, no screens, no artificial light whatsoever, just to see what their bodies would naturally do.
The results were absolutely astonishing. Without any prompting or suggestions, their biology reverted to the exact same ancient rhythm from those historical texts. Every single participant settled into 4 hours of sleep, a quiet waking period of 1 to 3 hours, and then 4 more hours of sleep.
It was literally as if an ancient program just woke up inside them.
And when you compare the historical accounts to Weir's clinical findings, the overlap is just incredible. During this midnight watch period, participants weren't just tossing and turning. Their brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin, a hormone tied to meditation. They were experiencing this deeply peaceful, meditative state of consciousness that we have virtually eliminated from modern life. It's a completely distinct biological state.
So what led to the second disruption? Conquering the night.
What killed this incredible midnight state and completely altered our biology? Well, the answer is our relentless quest to conquer the dark. Historically, you have to remember, the night was terrifying. Fun fact, the word curfew comes from the French couvre-feu, literally meaning cover fire. It was a medieval bell signaling you to put out your fires and hide in the dark. Walking outside without a lantern wasn't just suspicious, it was often illegal, because the night firmly belonged to criminals and the supernatural. We were deeply, deeply afraid of it.
But then we systematically conquered that darkness. We moved super fast from the 1600s, when Paris installed street lamps under Louis XIV to deter crime, to the 1700s with cheaper candles, then gas lamps in the 1800s, and finally Thomas Edison commercialized the electric light bulb in 1879. Boom! Within a single generation, we completely wiped out 300,000 years of human nighttime routine.
This brings us to biology, against the bulb. We thought flooding the night with light was pure progress, right? A total triumph over our fears. But it actually created an intense biological mismatch for our bodies, and it's one we're still fighting today. Nowadays, we soak in an average of 7 to 8 hours of artificial light after the sun goes down. This completely tricks our retinas. When that blue light hits your eyes at 11 p.m., your brain literally thinks it's still daytime. It suppresses your melatonin and just completely fragments a circadian rhythm that took millions of years to build.
And yet, our ancient programming is still right there, just waiting below the surface. Researchers actually found that just 1 week of camping, with absolutely no artificial light, is enough to reset our body's melatonin cycle by nearly 2 hours. It completely aligns perfectly with the sunset again. Think about that. 300,000 years of evolution reasserts itself in just 7 days.
So we really need to rethink the midnight wake.
By conquering the dark, we didn't just change our bedtimes. We quite literally deleted an entire vital phase of human consciousness. Now, when we wake up at 2 a.m. and lie there in the dark, we panic, right? We immediately diagnose ourselves with insomnia. We treat a natural biological instinct like it's some sort of medical malfunction. We completely stress ourselves out about missing a continuous 8-hour block of sleep that our ancestors literally never even had.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound realization, and it's what you should really take away from this whole explainer. What if that quiet, dark moment in the middle of the night isn't a disorder at all? What if waking up at 2 a.m. is just your body remembering exactly what it was built to do?